wrap-up remarks here, that'd be wonderful.
First, I'd like to comment with Brian Foy. I didn't think you'd even remember that. That was 1994. I had met Jack in 1956 at a Bring Your Own Bottle party, and we'd done the first ever jazz poetry readings in New York City back in 1957. I made that crazy home movie called Pull My Daisy and done a lot of stuff and played classical symphony pieces I wrote dedicated to Jack. And so by 1994, I had been in the Army with someone named John Lake. Some of you, I shouldn't say old timers, since I'm an old timer myself technically. But John was from Lowell, and we were in the Army together in 1952. And he always said, "You gotta come to Lowell someday, Dave." And when I finally came here, I never realized John knew Jack Kerouac, and he mentioned that when he was a teenager in the late 40s, that Jack used to come back to visit town. And these were young kids, 15 years old, trying to learn how to play music and reading out of a little fake book. And the one person who came into this little bar was this man named Jack Kerouac, whom everyone in town remembered as being a great football player in high school. And he said Jack was the only person that he ever met during that time that would come up to the band of all these little kids trying to learn, say, "Fellas, you sounded good." Jack always was that way. When I met him 56 years later, he was someone who fostered creativity in others. And he also didn't speak English till he was 6 years old. And he used to say, "I write in English, but I dream in French." So pour tous mes amis qui viennent de Québec, bienvenue ici dans la ville de Loire. Nous sommes très heureux pour être ici avec nous. That means for all our friends in Quebec to be welcome, because Jack spoke and loved his French heritage. And he loved the fact that Lowell has always been a city where people came from all over the world to find a home here in the United States. And if you were at the high school poetry contest yesterday, most of the kids now who go there, their families don't speak English or are just starting to. And here were 60 kids writing their own fantastic poetry. And that's the wonderful heritage that Jack gave everyone, all of us who were blessed to know him, and all those who were blessed to read these beautiful words etched in stone. He fostered creativity in others. So when Brian Foy said to me, "Dave, Lowell is a blue-collar," pronouncing it correctly, a blue-collar event, I said, "Man, life is a blue-collar event." And when I did a symphony piece for James Galway, the great Irish flute player, I said, "You know, Sir James," because he was made a Sir, knighted by the Queen, I said, "You know, you act so beautifully." The second movement had "À la Claire Fontaine" and another beautiful folk song that Jack used to sing at 3 o'clock in the morning when we were wandering around. And I said, "You know, Jack would have loved you, Sir Jimmy, because you, every single person who crosses your path, you're like him. You're respectful to, and you encourage. You're nice to every young musician, anybody." And he said, "Dave," he said, "where I'm from in Northern Ireland, we don't endorse putting on airs." So I want to mention that to all of you. If Jack was misunderstood by the New York literary establishment when he suddenly became a world-famous author overnight, and wouldn't take that role of being Mr. Snobitissimo with a nervous breakdown, a psychiatrist, tweed coat with patches on the sleeve, and a writer's block, he was the same wonderful cat he was when I met him in 1956 at a Bring Your Own Bottle party. He was always genuine, soulful, and warm to every person who crossed his path. He set a great example for all of us how to behave that knew him, and for all the young folks now who want to be writers, authors, painters, airline pilots, whatever you want to do. That Lowell soul and that human thing was there. And I just want to play a little tune we used to do at the Bring Your Own Bottle parties, and Jack was a classicist, a great intellectual. Oh, he would never say that. And when they showed his beautiful scroll in London, England, I was invited right where the King George Library is, the original scripts of Shakespeare and Beowulf and Emily Bronte and all these people, there was Jack's words sitting right there, right next to theirs, just where he belonged. And I said, you could imagine someone from Lowell, Massachusetts, didn't even speak English till he was 6, having his work with these great writers. And I said, he could recite all that stuff from memory of Beowulf and Chaucer. We didn't even understand what they were until he translated it for us. He knew all that, and he knew what we see here. And what more beautiful way for everybody here than to have your works put in stone. That's really about the hippest thing that can happen. So, for the memory of Jack, and thanks to the Lowell Celebrates Kerouac Committee, little tune we used to do at the Bring Your Own Bottle parties till they threw us out. A little theme and variations on Amazing Grace by another great person, Captain John Smith, who wrote this beautiful song.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I think this